Sabbioneta, the perfect city. North of Italy, a small town in the middle of a wide, hard, clay-filled plain, flat land, blinding light. And then, like a hallucination, like a Renaissance mirage, a perfectly ordered city appears. This is Sabbioneta, and this is the story of the man who willed it and built it into existence, Vespasiano Gonzaga Colonna. Not a community of people, not a dynasty over centuries, one single man. Sabbioneta doesn't feel like other Italian towns. There's no medieval chaos, no tangled streets, born by accident and improvisation. It feels deliberate, as if someone sat down with a ruler, a compass, and an oversized ego and said, let's start from scratches. Well, that's exactly what happened. Vespasiano is a fascinating contradiction. A condottiero, a military architect, a diplomat, and one of the very few non-Spaniards ever appointed Viceroy of Spain. A man shaped by discipline, hierarchy, and war. A loyal friend and servant of Philip II, King of Spain. And that was both his greatest fortune and his lifelong curse. When he wasn't being dispatched to faraway corners of the empire, wandering through places like Navarra, fortifying remote strongholds or calming unrests, he obsessed over a personal, totalizing project. His city. Rome was the model, Vitruvio the guiding spirit, but Sabbioneta ultimately reflects one person above all, Vespasiano himself. Look at the walls. They are the first thing he built in 1554, immediately after becoming duke. Defensive structures, yes, but also a symbol, a ritual of foundation, a soldier's statement. Before palaces, before beauty, before comfort, fortifications, identity in bricks. And a warning. Throughout his life, he had to defend his small state from the ambitions of his wealthier cousins, the Gonzaga of Mantova, who eyed his territories with persistent interest. But Sabbioneta was never just a fortress. It was an idea, a late Renaissance attempt at the ideal city where architecture, culture, and power would fuse into a single harmonious system. From above, the geometry is ruthless. Straight lines, sharp angles, a rigid grid of Cardo and Decumano, no wandering, no ambiguity. Urban planning as an extension of character, order, control, discipline pushed to the limit. This is not a city that grew. This is a city that was imposed. And yet, inside this austere military shell, something surprising happens. Decoration explodes. Palazzo Ducale is the public face of the Duke. Outside, restraint, symmetry, almost severity. Inside, history, refinement, and statement. Coffered ceilings carved from cedar of Lebanon. Or drenched in gold leaf. heraldic symbols everywhere. And ancestors in stucco, in wood, in frescoes, constantly looking down on you, judging you. The hunting past, the waiting past. His father, nicknamed Rodomonte for his beauty and his physical presence. He died when Vespasiano was still a child, leaving him virtually penniless. In fact, despite his wild ambitions, Vespasiano constantly struggled with limited finances. He dreamed at an imperial scale, but often had to work with humble means. Stuccos, painted perspectives, trompe-l'œil, faux marble, grandeur, true ingenuity. Again, a desire and a warning, like a beautiful, poisonous flower. Look at me, but don't you dare touch me. Vespasiano wanted to impress and discourage friends, enemies, and relatives alike. Palazzo Giardino, on the other hand, was not built to impress ambassadors. It was Vespasiano's private world, simple, intimate, almost austere compared to the ducal palace. Rooms filled with classical myth, animals real, real, hunting scenes, notably absent, war, quite telling for a professional soldier, a Renaissance Capitano di Ventura. This was his realm, his true, personal, intimate one. No politics, no war, just pleasure. Surprisingly, the Galleria degli Antichi, a 100-meter-long gallery that displays his much-admired collections of classical marbles and Roman bustos, is here, for his eyes only. It's easy to picture him wandering there at night, haunted, unable to sleep, surrounded by Roman emperors and Greek philosophers in marble. He had his reasons to look for the comfort of beauty. If we are to believe legends, he is said to have killed his wife out of jealousy, and his only son by kicking him, for he lacked of respect in public. Once, only once. Step into the Teatro all'Antica, built in 1588 and designed by Vincenzo Scamozzi. This is the first modern freestanding theatre in the world, a secular temple to spectacle, intellect, and illusion. Vespasiano was capable of gratefulness too. Apparently, he was plagued by insomnia and violent migraines. Desperation led to extreme resources. A barber surgeon named Amico drilled his skull, extracting a tiny bone believed to be the cause of his agony. Indeed, it helped. And here he is, portrayed with the instruments of his trade. Of his life approaching, Vespasiano constructed the Chiesa dell'Incoronata, an octagonal church intended as a private temple and mausoleum. Inside stands his bronze statue by Leone Leoni. Vespasiano died in 1591 without heirs. Sabioneta had no future. The palaces fell quiet. The utopian project faded. In 1774, Maria Theresa of Austria had his extraordinary art collection transferred to Mantua. The treasure vanished. The shell remained. Sabioneta became something uncanny. A sleeping beauty, perfectly preserved, eerily still. Its greatest fortune and its subtle tragedy, too intact to evolve, too artificial to decay, suspended in its own accomplishment. A city without past, no future, forever preserved by oblivion. And in every season, at every hour, under any weather, Sabioneta is bathed in the same strange, chalky light, as if Renaissance never fully passed.